filmmaker Steven Spielberg has directed and produced many iconic films over the years. I couldn't possibly pick just one movie as my favorite Steven Spielberg film, but one that would certainly be at least in the top 3 is his 1993 movie, Jurassic Park. It's an amazing and suspenseful film that I feel still holds up all these years later. Like Spielberg's previous film Jaws, which was made 18 years earlier, Jurassic Park penetrated pop culture in a way that few other films have been able to achieve. With 2023 being the 30th anniversary, I've decided to take a closer look at the movie and highlight some cool behind-the-scene factoids a lot of people may not know about. So with all that, this is the 1993 movie, Jurassic Park, 10 Things You May Not Know. Number 10. The story idea originated as an early screenplay by popular author and filmmaker Michael Crichton. It was originally about a graduate student who recreates a dinosaur from DNA. Crichton put the idea on hold though and started exploring other concepts. In the late 1980s, Crichton started developing an idea for a film based off his early years as a young medical student working in a busy emergency room of a hospital. Steven Spielberg was interested in producing the movie, but the idea later shifted and was turned into the TV series, ER, which went on to become a very successful TV show. It was during this time that Spielberg learned from Crichton that he was writing a novel based off an early screenplay that was titled Jurassic Park. What really fascinated Spielberg about the idea was that it was a really credible look at how dinosaurs might someday be brought back alongside modern mankind. Number 9. Michael Crichton was looking for $1.5 million for the film rights before the novel had even been published. A bidding war between the studios began and Universal acquired them in May of 1990 on behalf of Steven Spielberg. After making the 1991 movie, Hook, Spielberg wanted to film Schindler's List next. Universal cut a deal with Spielberg and gave a green light to Schindler's List on the condition that he made Jurassic Park first. Spielberg has said that by choosing a creature-driven thriller, he wanted to make a good unconnected sequel to Jaws, but this time on land. Spielberg has also heavily credited the early Godzilla movies as a big influence, specifically the 1956 film, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which is a movie he grew up watching. Spielberg described Godzilla as the most masterful of all the dinosaur movies because it made him and viewers believe it was really happening. Number 8. Universal paid Michael Crichton an additional $500,000 on top of the money he was already paid for the film rights to adapt his novel into a script. Crichton has said that his script only contained about 10 to 20% of his novel's content due to the book being fairly long. He toned down the violence and entire scenes were excluded for budgetary reasons. Crichton's script was later rewritten by screenwriter Malia Scotch-Marmo, who had written the script for Spielberg's 1991 film, Hook. Spielberg wasn't satisfied with the script though, and Universal brought in David Koepp for another rewrite. Koepp's version of the script added the Spielberg idea of showing a cartoon to Jurassic Park visitors to cut down on a lot of exposition from Crichton's novel. He also fleshed out the characters, such as changing Dr. John Hammond from a ruthless businessman into a scientifically curious, kindly old man. Number 7. William Hurt, Tim Robbins, and Harrison Ford had been offered the lead role of Dr. Alan Grant, but they all turned it down. Eventually, New Zealand actor Sam Neill was cast in the role only about 3 or 4 weeks before shooting began. Neill was a veteran actor, although he wasn't exactly a well-known name, so this was a real mainstream breakout part for him. Jeff Goldblum was cast as Dr. Ian Malcolm, the mathematician who specializes in chaos theory. Jim Carrey had auditioned for the role, and casting director Janet Hershenson said he was terrific, but they loved the idea of Goldblum in the part. This was before Carrey had broke out as a comedy film star, so it's interesting to think how different his career would have been if he had landed the role. Laura Dern was cast as paleobotanist Dr. Ellie Sattler. Dern was Spielberg's first choice for the role, while other actresses like Helen Hunt and Gwyneth Paltrow had also auditioned for the part. Number 6. Young actor Joe Mazzello had auditioned for the 1991 movie, Hook, screen testing for the son character Jack Banning. Steven Spielberg liked his audition, but Mazzello was just too young for the part, so the role went to actor Charlie Korsmo. Even though he didn't get the part, Spielberg promised Mazzello they would work together on a future film. In Michael Crichton's original Jurassic Park novel, the kid character of Tim Murphy was actually older than his sister, Alexis Lex Murphy. This was changed by Spielberg so that Mazzello could be cast as Tim. For the now older sister character of Lex Murphy, actress Ariana Richards was cast in the role. Richards had already appeared in multiple films, most notably in another sci-fi creature film, Tremors, which had been released a few years earlier in 1990. Number 5. To create the dinosaurs, Steven Spielberg thought of hiring Bob Gurr, who designed a giant mechanical King Kong for Universal Studios Hollywood's tour attraction King Kong Encounter, but Spielberg later felt that life-size dinosaurs would be too expensive and unconvincing. Instead, Spielberg sought out the best effects supervisors in Hollywood, such as Stan Winston to create the animatronic dinosaurs, Phil Tippett to create go-motion dinosaurs for long shots, Michael Lantieri to supervise the on-set effects, and Dennis Muren of Industrial Light and Magic to do the digital compositing. Paleontologist Jack Horner was hired on to supervise the designs of the dinosaurs to help fulfill Spielberg's desire to portray them as animals rather than monsters. Certain concepts about dinosaurs, such as the theory that they evolved into birds and had very little in common with lizards, were heavily featured in the film. Number 4. Stop-motion effects expert Phil Tippett attempted to use the go-motion method with motion blurs for the long-moving shots of the dinosaurs, but Steven Spielberg found the end results unsatisfactory. Dennis Muren of Industrial Light and Magic told Spielberg he thought the dinosaurs could be built using computer-generated imagery, and Spielberg told him to prove it. Industrial Light and Magic animators Mark Dippay and Steve Williams developed a computer-generated walk cycle for the T-Rex skeleton and were approved to do more. When Spielberg and Tippett saw an animatic of the T-Rex chasing a herd of Gallimimus, Spielberg jokingly told Tippett, "You're out of a job," to which Tippett replied, "Don't you mean extinct?" Spielberg put this exchange into the script of the film as a similar conversation between characters Ian Malcolm and Alan Grant. Although no stop-motion was used, the production still used Tippett and his animators to supervise the movement of the dinosaurs. Number 3. In Michael Crichton's original book, the vehicles used for tours at the park are electric-powered Toyota Land Cruisers. Instead of using similar vehicles for the movie, Spielberg made a deal with the Ford Motor Company, who provided 7 Ford Explorers to be used in the film. These Ford Explorers were then modified by George Barris, a veteran vehicle customizer for film and television. Barris had customized many iconic vehicles for TV and film productions, most notably the Batmobile for the popular 1960s Batman series. Barris, along with Industrial Light and Magic special effects crew, modified the Explorers to create the illusion that they were autonomous cars by hiding the driver in the car's trunk. Barris had also customized the Jeep Wranglers, which were also featured in the movie. Number 2. One of the most iconic and memorable moments in the film are the ripples in the glass of water caused by the T-Rex's footsteps. This moment was inspired by Spielberg when he was listening to the band Earth, Wind and Fire in his car, when the music caused vibrations in his vehicle from the bass rhythm. Special effects supervisor Michael Lantieri was at first unsure how to create the shot. One night before filming the scene, Lantieri got the idea to put a glass of water on a guitar he was playing, which achieved the concentric circles in the water Spielberg wanted. The next morning, guitar strings were put inside the Ford Explorer vehicle, and a man on the floor plucked them to achieve the simple yet also cool effect. Number 1. After the film was released to theaters, it became a massive hit, making $914 million on a reported budget of only $63 million. The film ended up being the highest-grossing box office movie of all time, until it was surpassed by Titanic just a few years later, which became the first film to make over $1 billion. It was also a hit with film critics, and to this day has a 91% Rotten Tomatoes score, along with a matching 91% audience score. Overall, Jurassic Park has gone on to become one of the most iconic genre films in history, with it being turned into a huge franchise with many sequels. Well, that was the 1993 movie, Jurassic Park, 10 Things You May Not Know. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, go ahead and subscribe to the Dave Likes Movies channel right here. If you have any suggestions for other movies I should cover, just leave me a comment down below.